Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. I am Felrus. Thank you for joining me to play some Raid Shadow Legends today and joining me in memoriam of the 5 best things that has happened in Raid Shadow Legends this year. But before we get into that, you can go ahead and use my link in the description below if you are interested in starting a new Raid account for the 2025 new year, guys. You can also use my link in the description below to join my Discord server, and that's been really growing lately. We've had a lot of great conversations, a lot of great people joining us to help out everybody who is in need. But without further ado, let's get into the 5 best things that happened in Raid Shadow Legends this year. All right, the first one is going to be the event that I enjoyed the most, and that will be the Asgard Divide event, guys. I loved this event. That gave us some new champions, right? It gave us Thor. They've all got this unique background, right? Thor Feyhammer, fantastic damage dealer, still top tier for Hydra, right? Has this A1 with a 20% chance of repeating the attack, and each hit decreases the target's turn meter by 10%. He's got passive crowd control, AoE stun on his passive. He's got a AoE here. He's got a AoE that deals single target damage. Very fantastic for Hydra, guys. Fantastic champion in Thor, right? That also gave us Freya, who looks really cool, right? She's got the cape, that's pretty cool. She's got this glowing mist shield thing, right? She looks pretty cool. Again, a barbarian champion. She's got the full cleanse with block debuffs. Good for Chimera with a turn meter fill. Very good for Chimera. That's on a 3-turn cooldown. She's got a increased defense. She's got a shield proportional to this champion's defense and each target champion's max HP. Very, very good skill. And then an AoE A1 with a 25% chance to place Provoke, activates a skill when when a shield buff placed by this champion is removed by damage, occurs once per turn. Very good A1 here, especially with that Provoke. That books up to, I think that's a 40% chance. That's a pretty good A1 Provoke, right? And then on the passive, increases this champion's defense by 5% each time an ally inflicts a critical hit, prevents the death of the ally with the highest crit damage except this champion, and keeps them alive with 1 HP when hit with a fatal hit. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, this effect will only activate once, then heals that ally by 20% of their max HP and activates an instant turn effect on them. Guys, this is a very good champion, very good provoker for Hydra, very good arena champion, a very good Chimera champion. Freya Fateweaver has absolutely splashed into the game, guys. And then we got a free login champion as part of the Asgard Divide event. We got Loki here, who also has an AoE A1 with a increased debuff duration, right? And then chances higher if he's under Veil or Perfect Veil. He has a Veil on a single target here, right? He then has a, I think that's a buff steal, a turn meter steal, increase attack, boost turn meter of allies. Yep, he's got the block buffs, he's got the block active skills with the debuff spread, right? And then he has the passive that places Perfect Veil on himself at the start of the round, and when he drops below 50% HP. By the way, guys, I need to test this guy with True Off since I now have an AoE Veil. And then he has this Evade, which is a new mechanic not found on any other champion, right? Where he can completely ignore a skill and all of the effects of that skill, which is super unique, super good. And then of course he has a ally accuracy in all battles by 60. We were given a soul for this guy, 5-star soul. I put polymorph on him. A lot of people put brimstone on him. Very good for new players, all of that good stuff. And then we got the man, the myth, the legend himself, Odin Feyfather, who has a ignore 100% defense and then inflicts damage based on the target's stats, right? Depending on what type they are. Once again, has the fully ignore defense, so this skill absolutely smacks. If the target was killed by this skill, revives a random dead ally with 50% HP and 50% turn meter, a lot like Heraclides, right? Very good skill here. And then he has the AoE buff strip. He has a decreased defense. He has a stun. He has a new debuff called Berserk, which is really interesting. Cannot be placed on bosses, but he's got that Berserk debuff there. And then he has every 9 turns places block damage, and then buff spreads everything on himself to everybody else, as well as void speed in arena by 40%. Great in high-end arena, guys. So very, very good champions coming from the Asgard Divide event. The Asgard Divide event also had the event dungeon, which we are still waiting on a return of. The event dungeon here, where it says coming soon in the dungeon map, and that gave us pinpoint gear. So we got all these pinpoint accessories and everything that give us the intercept stacks, right? And it'll also give us 10% speed on the 2-piece, so very splashable set on any champion for any build just to get a free 10% speed, right? And then it has all the intercept stacks to counter things like Armons and Polymorph in the arena. So absolutely the best thing about Raid Shadow Legends in 2024 was the Asgard Divide event. I did manage to pick up Thor, who is a great game changer on my account. He's my arena nuker, he's my Hydra nuker, all the stuff, coming here from Thor. So great champion, and I really enjoyed that event. So the next best thing that happened in Raid Shadow Legends in 2024, I think, is the release of all the new mythical champions, guys. So at the beginning of the year, we had Geralt, I think, already in the game, and I think we had Mikage, right, who is the Shadowkin. She's the fusion mythical, right? We had the fusion mythical, and we had, I think, Fralny and Mezimel. I think Fralny and Mezimel those were the only mythicals in the game, guys. But in 2024, we had so many new mythicals released. We had my favorite, or one of my favorites, the Calamitous, my only mythical, right? Absolute game changer on my account. Maybe not the best in the world, but certainly very effective, right? We had the man, the myth, the legend himself, not Calamitous, Galathyr, right? Galathyr, who is like Duchess on steroids, right? These guys completely changed the arena meta, right? As well as gave Primal Shards a whole new value. So we had Star Sage Galathyr. We had Androck the Glorious. I think he was released at the beginning of the year, right? He's got increased resistance. He's got continuous heal. Very good Chimera champion. He also looks really cool, especially in the second form. He's like King Richard the Lionhearted or something like that. And that's pretty cool as well. Very, I guess, English legend theme mythical, right? For the Sacred Order, we had Sigfrun. Sigfrun's an older mythical as well, right? No new Sacred Order mythicals. That's pretty odd, right? But we had Alaz. Alaz is very good. He's got the provoke. He's got the counterattack. He's got the increased defense. He has a block damage too. Yeah, he's got the block damage. One of the best defensive nukers in the game, guys, right? We had someone who I don't think anyone uses, but I think he's pretty cool. Actually has a lot of potential. Ashnar Dragon Soul, right? This new orc mythical. He's got heal on HP burns, so he completely counters Volcanos. Each active HP burn placed by this champion increases their max HP by 5%, and then HP burn debuffs placed on all allies heal them instead of damaging them. So very good counter to Volcanos in the arena if you happen to have that guy. Very cool. We got Lazarius, right, who is like a lot like Wukong in a lot of ways because he can be built either as a support or as a nuker, right? He's got increased attack. He's got strengthen. He's got turn meter fill. He's got an AoE. He's got block debuffs. He's got block buffs, right? He's got, I think, a passive revive. At the end of this champion's turn, revive a random ally with 50% HP and 50% turn meter, right? That's on a 3-turn cooldown with a perfect veil. So very cool champion for Hydra. Swap into his second form. He's got attack one enemy 2 times, ignores ally protection, strengthen, and shield. Right, steals turn meter. Can that be resisted? No, it can't be resisted. That's pretty cool. So he doesn't need accuracy for that. But then he has an AoE with ignore, shield, and increased defense, right? He's got a self-cleanse. Then he has a attack damage for each ally alive, ramping mechanic, right? So that's pretty cool. He has increased attack, increased crit damage. This guy hits hard. He looks really cool. And great mythical. So these mythicals have been absolutely meta-defining, guys. If I go into live arena, right, the top teams all have, really solid mythicals, If we take a look at the leaderboards, look, all these guys are using mythicals as their favorite champions, right? He has Calamitous as a favorite champion. Dang, hey, I could be friends with this guy, right? If we go into Classic Arena, all the top players, if it can load, all the top players have mythicals, guys. Look at this. Fully Awakened, Commodus, Crixia, Gizmac. I didn't even talk about those guys, but those guys are all great as well. Commodus, best bomb champion in the game. Crixia, full lockout. Gizmac, complete nukage, right? These guys have like +2, +4 empowered mythicals. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what these champions have done to the game, guys. And if we just scroll down, there are just more mythicals, right? These are people's arena defenses. just more mythicals everywhere. These top tier mythicals are being used. They have completely changed the game. They have completely changed Hydra, Chimera, Arena, all of it, guys. So definitely one of the most effective things Plarium has done in 2024, but also one of the best because mythicals are super fun to play around with, guys. All right, the next best thing that they did in 2024 was the Armon's Fusion. All right, I know this is a bit of a hot take. Armon's has been also game changing, and he was a fusion champion. He was free, and he's top tier for Arena. Attacks all enemies, steals the turn meter of each target except enemies under sheep, also places stun for 1 turn on all enemies not under sheep. He's got AoE crowd control. He can solo Arena teams, right? He's got a polymorph on his A3, similar to Wukong on the A2, right? Then he has a buff strip. So he's got a buff strip that's not on a hit. That is awesome. And then his A1 has lockout, fills his champion's turn meter, right? And then his passive locks out an ally when a sheep is removed or expires, then increases the cooldown of a random active skill on that enemy to its max. So this guy is a absolute beast, absolute lockout champion. He is always the ban in live Arena, and he is always someone you have to counter in regular Arena. He was free. That means that new players could get a meta-defining champion, and that is absolutely huge, guys. That is absolutely huge. I did not do the fusion, but I did manage to pull my own Armons, and he is game-changing, right? Not only in PvP, but also in PvE. Really gave a chance for lower-level players to compete with the meta, right, guys? Very good champion. Very wise to give him out for free, I think. If they had just made him like a progressive chance from a shard or in a summon pool or something, I think people would have a lot more beef with him because he is so good. He is potentially toxic, right? But since he was given out for free for the fusion, you know, a lot of people have him and a lot of people use him, including new players. So that gives them a chance in Arena, guys. All right, along the same lines, the fourth best thing that Raid did in 2024 over the past year is add the Marius mission. So Marius is another meta-defining champion, not only in Arena, but also in Chimera. What does he do? He has increased accuracy and increased defense on all allies for 3 turns, good for trials, right? Then places a stun on the enemy with the highest turn meter for 1 turn. Not good in Chimera, but it works in Arena. Finally, grants an extra turn. All right, so he's gonna buff, then he's gonna go again. His A2 absolutely slaps. He attacks all enemies 3 times. Each hit decreases the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn, so it's a buff strip. The damage is based on defense and enemy max HP. Guys, this move absolutely slaps. It can one-shot really tanky teams in Arena because of that enemy max HP damage, and it has a really good defensive multiplier too. I think it's like, is it 1.2 or 1.4 defense as well as the enemy max HP? So it's right up there with the top tier nukers, guys. Then he just gets enemy max HP damage on top of that. This move also like hits for over 1 million damage in Chimera because you can stack crit damage on top of the max HP cap that the Chimera has. So this move absolutely smacks in Chimera, and that's very, very good as well because the relics are so meta defining. And then his A1 attacks all enemies with an enfeeble, damage based on defense. That hit A1 hits pretty hard. This champion is immune to turn meter reduction effects on the passive and decreased speed debuffs. Whenever an enemy changes form or attempts to decrease this champion's turn meter, counterattacks using this champion's default skill. So he is going to counterattack whenever a mythical changes form, or when there's an Armon's, he is going to also counterattack and then place the enfeeble so that everybody can only weak hit. This champion is absolutely insane, guys. Absolutely insane. I want this guy. I gotta grind for him a little bit. Everybody should grind for him a little bit, but he is absolutely game-changing. On all the top teams, by the way. On all the top teams. All right, finally, what did they do in 2025? This makes it at the bottom of the list just because we haven't really seen the impact of it yet, but it's going to be the relics. So they released the Chimera, and that in itself was a great content drop. And we get these gemstones and these crafting materials, these ocular masses from the Chimera chests, guys. We get these epic gemstones, these rare gemstones, and we get a free mythical. So we get a mythical fragment summon, which is great. if we go over to the Forge, we can see all the different relics that they have added to the game. This is power creep at its best or worst, depending on how you look at it, right? We can craft all these relics. Each one gives a passive effect as well as additional stats, guys. 51 accuracy from this golden elixir when you have it all the way maxed out, right? And then some of these mythicals are just absolutely insane, like the Stormcaller, where has a 20% chance of placing Stormcall buff on themselves whenever they land a critical hit, which just turns someone into Thor, basically. The Stormcall buff, I believe, just is Thor's passive. It just increases their damage every time they deal damage, I believe. Then the Chrono Cube, where has a 50% chance to take 2 turns in a row. If this effect activates where skips next turn, occurs only once per battle. That is broken for Arena, guys. The Gore Crescent, which I think has a lot of potential here, where's next attack after killing an enemy deals 20% more damage. That is fantastic, right? So not only the stats from these relics are insane, but also the effects, right? I like the Irethi Coronet. I use it on Calamitous, and it makes him my best Hydra damage dealer on my account. Where's damage increases by 1% each time they place a debuff. Stacks up to 30%. But that's not all they did, guys. They didn't just release these relics. They released the gemstones. And oh my gosh, there are so many gemstones. And I'm not going to go through all these, guys, but some of them, even the rares, are quite game-changing. So one of my favorites, Invigorated. We all got that one for free when this patch dropped, right? Turn meter increase effects are 10% more effective on the wearer. So really good on your arena champs, right? Very good effect, right? What else? I believe there's another circular one. Yeah, here. This one could be really good on Commodus. The wearer ignores 5% of the target's resistance when placing bomb, poison, and HP burn debuffs. So very good for arena, right? Very good on like a Nell or a Commodus or a Volcanos, right? So these are absolutely game-changing, absolutely enjoyable content. They made the rewards pretty good in Chimera, in my opinion, especially since we get a free mythical along with everything else. We get more clan gold. We get these star stones, which we need to swap out relics and upgrade them and all that stuff. So very, very good rewards. Very, very fun stuff to play around with, right? Adds a whole new level of customization, guys. All right. Thank you for watching. That has been the year 2024 in review. I have been Felris, and I will see you in another video.